So something that quite often happens in practice of a form is that certainly when you're learning it, but in general, if you're practicing, you might get to a point where you're trying to integrate new information or remember something or get something right, something you've just learned, you're working on. That's what happens quite often. And quite often, really any form, we happen to be doing Tai Chi Chuan today, but really any form, there's going to be things that happen with your left side, things that happen with your right side. There's going to be shifting from one leg to the other. There's going to be turning to the right, turning to the left. And there's kind of probably most forms, 50% of the time you turn to the right, 50% to the left, 50% you're on your left leg, the other 50 you're on your right leg, or more on your right leg. 50% of things are with your left hand, probably about even because it makes sense. And so in a form practice, you might have, during whatever the sequence is, weight forward, weight back, weight forward, weight back, or we might say weight right leg, weight left leg. I don't care about the stance right now or how much weight, but it's favoring one side then favors the other. That's probably what comes next. We see in martial arts quite a bit this kind of thing. One arm takes a turn, then the other, or one arm returns, one goes out, one arm returns, kind of how it goes. But when we're practicing, integrating, fixing something, trying to remember something, doing a new move, I'm getting old, I'm having trouble with this, and so I have my rhythm of whatever the form is, and then, hang on, what is it? I'm kind of puzzled. Is it this or what? Oh yeah. So what happens is we tend to have some kind of rhythm of left to right, or it might be up to down, that would be, or turn left, turn right, some kind of rhythm that you're kind of feeling in your form. And when we pause, quite often we physically stop to match like our mental stopping, right? Kind of like when you're lost in your car, people turn the radio down. Mm-hmm. For some reason, they think that'll help, but that's kind of what we do. I want still in terms of the audio so that my mind can be still and get my right answer. And so I have some rhythm, whatever it happens to be. And when I physically stop, and let's say in this case I stop trying to figure out my next move and I'm on my left leg. As I figure it out, which might be a couple seconds, it might be 45 seconds but quite often what happens is people kind of shift to the middle because it's more comfortable to be in the middle. Mm-hmm. Or the rhythm itself, I say to myself, stop, and my mind starts being in the still place, trying to, what is the answer? I have it in my notes. We just did it last week. But the rhythm of the movement actually takes me to the other leg. And I'm not present like I usually am when I practice because I'm actually in my notes and remembering what my teacher said. Now I get my answer, whether I'm right or wrong, I have an answer, I'm ready to practice, but I'm starting in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. And I might not notice that. So all of a sudden, why am I backwards? Yep. And the same thing could happen if it's up, down, turning, left hand, right, whatever it might be. And so I think it really helps when we stop to check our notes, mental or maybe looking at my notebook, is to actually tell myself, freeze, still, left leg, turn to the left, whatever I can say, like to lock in where I am. Oh. If I don't fully consciously do that, it's much easier to settle in the middle. Or if I'm turned, to kind of square it, just because it's more comfortable. It's less energetic output to be here than here. Yeah. Or similarly, if my arm was high as I'm thinking, it might kind of... One of the problems now is that if I started on my left leg, and that's where I pause, if there's a shift that's in my next move, there's only one answer. It has to shift to my right leg. Right. And my notes are like, next thing we shift and reach our palm or something. I can't shift the wrong way, right? But if I stop here, what is the move? Is this the elbow or the palm? I can't remember. You think, if I settle in the middle, but I remember I got to shift with the palm, it's 50-50. I could shift here, I could shift there.
But if you
Or
keep
turn, or if I'm in the middle of my up down, is it up or if it's down? If I'm low as I go, the next move has to be up, right?
right.
So it really helps to kind of mentally lock it in when I stop to check my notes.
Okay.
But what helps more than that, instead of, hang on, what is it? Like just start over.
Oh.
Because then the beginning will take me to the right answer.
Right.
But people don't, so I don't want to say you always have to start over, but it's a much more clean way of getting to the right answer than this. But if you are going to freeze, and people will do that, and it's fine, especially in a longer form. I don't want to go back 38 moves it's reasonable to hang on. But actually tell yourself, here's where I am, lock it in, I'm turned, I'm settled, it's right hand forward, my hand's coming, or whatever it is, and like know where you are, and then start doing the thinking, the note checking.
And stay exactly where you
Yeah,
are.
like make a note of where you are. People kind of freeze, and then immediately, mentally, they're somewhere else.
Yep.
And then they drift,
And that's what
and they don't notice it because they're mentally somewhere
And
else.
when I was here, and I
Right.
should have had my weight on my right, I kind of
You
shifted
drifted a bit.
to neutral.
Yeah.
So
So that's something as a teacher I watch for, because
yes.
I know they're not present, they're trying to figure out the move. So I can tell them, you've shifted.
Right.
But then often if they do pick it up in a move or three, things are backwards, or they're facing the wrong way or something, like,
Right.
how did I get here?
Then you get off
So
the rhythm.
something to do is kind of figure out when you freeze, to check your mental notes, or written notes or whatever,
Yep.
or look at the video, whatever your notes look like, is like, how do I tell myself where I was? How do I make a note about where I am and confirm it so I can adhere to it? Then I stay in the right starting place when I restart.
So when I want to stop and think about where I am, I want to make a note of What
Where
leg
are
is
you
weighted?
doing the stopping and thinking?
what leg is weighted, and then that will
Yeah.
tell me what turn to do.
And for
next.
me, that comes up most often, which weight, but it could be rotation or up and down, or which arm, that, or it could be a bunch of things, but quite often in Tai Chi Chuan, it's where my weight is,
Yep. Okay.
you know.
And then the shoulder.
Yeah.